Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. For you guys that don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I have been a professional sports bettor, DFS player for it's been a long time now. Been a long time. I want to say 2019, 2020. I've been doing content for you guys. All these videos that get posted to a subreddit, I'll have that linked down below, where you can ask me questions leading up to lock about the slate. Anything you need, we'll have that down below. If you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here. I also post sportsbook plays on Twitter, so if you ever want to tail me for free, you can. Um, this hit for Thursday night, so that was cool. So yeah, I'll have all that stuff linked down below. If you're looking for more in-depth content, where I give you guys player pools for cash, GPPs, core plays for small field core, cash core, large field core, and then all these green things are cash viable plays. I'll have my Discord link down below, and then you get sportsbook plays for NFL, NBA, WNBA, MLB, all that good stuff. So all my links will be down below. And without further ado, let's get into my results from last week. As always, I show you guys my results. You can tell if I am a winning player or a losing player. If you want to see my career results and last season results, you can go to the week 1 video. Transparency is key when following content, in my opinion. Unfortunately, people don't do this stuff. But yeah, I broke even week 4 it was. Cash games did well. I went with Dart, James Cook, Hampton, Jacoby Myers, Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Brenton Strange, Christian McCaffrey, and the Titans defense. So that carried my week, was cash games. Tournaments, I made about 8 or 9 lineups. I lost a little bit in tournaments, but I'll show you guys the 2 lineups that did cash. I was in a bunch of tournaments, just like low stake stuff. And it was the 2 lineups that I made the last that I was the least confident in, which was Matthew Stafford stack and a Daniel Jones stack. This had some life a little bit later on, but I didn't have Ashton Jeanty, so that killed it, and Trey Tucker. A little bit upset eating the chalk there, but I needed someone cheap for this lineup. And then, yeah, a lot of like the tournament plays that I really, really liked did well. I thought it should have been a massive week in tournaments, but that was unfortunately not the case for me. Like, I told everyone in Discord, I want to play Eagles defense. All the tournament plays that I really liked did really, really well. That I shouted out, but like, so the scores last week were just insane. I feel like it should have been a lot better. I can just look. I can show you guys the stacks that I did personally. Where was I? Okay, here we go. I did Lamar, Herbert, Hurts, Mahomes, Geno, Caleb Williams, and then I added that Daniel Jones and Matthew Stafford stack at the end. And then I wrote about Eagles D is my big stance this week. That worked out perfectly. And then I wanted to get different at tight end. So guys, I included like Dallas Goedert, he smashed, Travis Kelce, Gatson, and Njoku. Bowers, he was underwhelming, and then Tyler Warren, of course, the chalk hit. Pitts, I wrote. So yeah, unfortunately, not a good GPP week for me. But yeah, let's get into the slate. We'll go over player by player, position by position. We'll go over cash games when we're talking about it as well. And yeah, we only got a 10-game slate here. So it's a little bit of a smaller one. Weird slate. Cash games pretty tough, in my opinion, as well. So I'll do my best here. All right, so as far as quarterback goes, I do have Dak Prescott in my player pool right now. I don't know if I'm going to be getting there into like single entry stuff, but with no CD Lamb, the target markets are going to be very, very condensed here. Right, so Ferguson's been a target monster, getting a ton of targets. I like the spot for him, 7, 14, 12, 6. I also think he's going to go a little bit under-owned on this slate. I think most people are going to pay up for like a Tyler Warren, not a Brock Bowers, a Trey McBride, those types. So I think Ferg's going to go a little bit overlooked on this slate. Pickens has the tougher spot here on the Jets, but like on the Cowboys, but like his ceiling is just so massive. They're going to target him downfield. His ADOT's pretty far. He's getting peppered, so ceiling massive there for George Pickens. I think you can absolutely go there in cash games as well. Tolbert at 3.6K is fine. He has a ceiling. He'll certainly benefit with no Kevontae Turpin. I wouldn't go there in cash games though, but I think Jake Ferguson probably my favorite play on Dallas if I am going to anyone. Then if I'm doing double stacks, I'd probably go like just Dak, Pickens, Ferguson. I think they're definitely solid, depending on the ownership. I want to see what ownership ends at there. And then Javonte Williams at 6.2K, I think is an interesting running back. At somewhat lower ownership this week. The running back ownership's being severely condensed on a lot of plays that we'll get into in a little bit. So as far as cash games go, I think Pickens, I think you do a lot worse, and I think Ferguson decent, but I think I want to like probably play like a Warren in cash, or if you have the money, like same price point, just give me Warren all day. Great matchup here for Warren as well. So unfortunately, I think Ferg is viable, but I do prefer Warren in a vacuum. All right, Justin Fields, I think is your cash game quarterback this week. I think Breece Hall is one of the best running back plays this week in a phenomenal spot going up against Dallas. No Braylon Allen as well, so he should be just a complete workhorse here. Ownership going to get up there in tournaments. I still think at his projected ownership currently, he is still a phenomenal play with no Braylon Allen. So, love Fields in cash, obviously. Breece Hall is a phenomenal play in both formats for me. Everyone's in really good spots here, so I'm pretty high on Garrett Wilson. I think you can make the argument for Mason Taylor, who played a bunch more snaps last week. His snaps have been going up a lot more. They've been scheming him to get the ball more. The only issue with the Jets is, we saw it last week. They were down like 20 points or something, and they just were not throwing the ball at all. So that's the only issue with the Jets. I think in cash games, I'd probably limit to like max 2 Jets in cash games. I don't know if I'd get to 3. If you're playing tournaments, you can do absolutely whatever you want. But, yeah, Garrett Wilson's in a phenomenal spot. Mason Taylor's solid. You have a phenomenal spot for Breece Hall. So, a lot of great plays. I think Justin Fields is a great tournament play as well, even at his ownership. So, I am high on the Jets. As far as cash games, I think Fields probably your cash game quarterback as it goes right now. Breece Hall, I think, is fantastic. I think Garrett Wilson is firmly in play, but like I said, I probably wouldn't play 3 Jets in cash. I'm not going to get to a Mason Taylor. Yeah, this game definitely pretty damn good. Then we have Miami at Carolina. So, unfortunately, you guys know the news. Tyreek Hill on IR. We do have Darren Waller coming back. Darren Waller's in a pretty good spot. Tua, I don't know if I'm going to get there in tournaments as a stack, but of course I do like some one-offs from this team. So I think a Shane's just role is just absolutely elite. Take a look at these snaps after I believe Ollie Gordon fumbled it at the 1. I can pull up the snaps for you guys that he played last week. That is Shane, that is. I mean, either way, like, this, let's take a look. 44 of the possible 58, and then Ollie Gordon played 15. Either way, it's a great spot for Shane. He is leading the team in target market share. I don't know, like, I don't know how you argue at 7.3K with the role that Shane has that he's not a great play, given the ownership that he has either. We'll talk about some pivots, but yeah, leading the team in receiving, target market share. Now you have no Tyreek Hill, still going to play a ton of snaps. It's a good spot going up against Carolina. I believe that the spread's pretty tight as well. It should stay a neutralist game script, right? He's basically to his safety blanket, right? Great play. Jalen Waddle, I love at 5.4K. I think at this point you just have to like feed Jalen Waddle. Going up against Carolina, I feel like their defense will be. They're not going to be as good as they have been through 4 weeks, so I don't mind the spot here. And then we have Malik Washington at 3.9K. I actually think he's one of the better pump plays, and he's only projecting for 2% ownership right now. So I'm definitely going to try to get over the field on Malik Washington. I think the offense is mainly just going to be those 3 guys getting the ball. Asheen, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington. That's basically it for me. Darren Waller, he'll get targeted in the red zone. I don't mind him in tournaments. Great spot for Darren Waller as well. Carolina, they bleed fantasy production to tight ends. So I think there's a lot of good plays here on Miami. If you want to go to 2, I think that's okay, but I'm more looking at like one-offs here. As far as cash games go, I think Shane's fantastic. I think he's one of the better cash running back plays in the slate. I think Jalen Waddle is absolutely fantastic. And if you're searching for money, I do think Malik Washington is viable, but it's maybe a little bit thin in cash games, but I do think you could do worse. All right, moving on to Carolina. If this was ever the spot to get right for Carolina, I think it is going to be this spot going up against Miami. If we take a look at previous matchups here, they had New England. I believe Christian Gonzalez was back for this game. They had Atlanta. They've been tough this year. Arizona and Jacksonville. So definitely in the best spot they've been in so far this year. So Bryce Young, I don't mind him at 4.7K. I don't know if I included him in my early pool. I don't think I did, but I think I'm going to include him for sure. So I'm kind of talking myself into some Bryce Young, although it pains me to say it. And then we have Chuba Wumba out. So Rico Dowdle, I think, is just going to get a boatload of volume here going up against Miami at 4.3K. Fine, it's fine. I think the ownership in tournaments might get ballooned up a little bit high. I think I prefer like Breece Hall in a vacuum. Obviously, they're not the same price points, but like you have two values there. If I had to pick 1 point per dollar, I would go Breece Hall there. But I think Rico Dowdle is fine. Just a little bit worried about what that ownership is going to balloon up to. And then we have McMillan, probably one of my more favorite tournament wide receiver plays on the slate. I don't know if I'd go there in cash. Miami, they do play two high safeties, which McMillan is worse against, but they also play man as well. I'd have to. I took his props, but I'd have to look. So 5.7K. You have no Coker. You have no Chuba Hubbard now. You have look what they have at tight end. No Sanders now. This offense is going to completely run through Rico Dowdle, Bryce Young, and McMillan. Renfro's gone away. I just think at 5.7K the ownership on McMillan. Last I looked, it was a little bit too low to me. But we'll see if he gets to like 15 to 20% range. Then I'm gonna have some caution there at that price point. So we'll see. The props I took, I don't know if they're still playable. 4.5 receptions, and I believe it was like 57.5 receiving yards. So if you want to take that, if they're up, you can go for it. As far as cash games, Rico Dowdle is obviously in play at 4.3K. I wouldn't get to much else here in cash. I think some projections are getting like some McMillan. I probably wouldn't go there in cash. All right, moving on to Houston. This is another get right spot here for the Texans. I actually do like C.J. Stroud in tournaments this week. I was watching a bit of content. I haven't really heard anyone talk about this Houston offense this week going up against Baltimore. I think you can get him at quite low ownership. Love the spot here. So, yeah, sign me up for C.J. Stroud in tournaments. I love Nico Collins in tournaments this week. I think Dalton Schultz is a little bit interesting in tournaments this week if you want to go there. Woody Marks, people are excited to play. I'd just be a little bit cautious there. I think his ownership is going to steam. If he is anywhere above like 5 to 10%, I am not playing that. But all I've heard is everyone wants to play Woody Marks, so I will probably be passing there. Like I said, I love Nico Collins this week. Great spot for him. And then Dalton Schultz, I don't mind. I don't think I'd get to much in cash here, but I think there's some good tournament plays on the Texans side of things. And then this offense, Cooper Rush, 4.3K. If you want to throw him in strictly large field tournaments, I think that's okay. But I think they're just going to give Derrick Henry the ball 25 plus times in this game. I think you kind of have to. So Derrick Henry firmly in play for tournaments for me. Just indifferent. On Henry this week. I'm not going to get to anything else here. I just can't do it with Cooper Rush at quarterback in a tough spot. So I will be passing on mostly Baltimore this week, and there's no one cash viable there. Moving on to the Raiders, Geno Smith is fine at 5.4K. Wide receiver, Jacoby Myers at 5.6K, always viable in cash. He's always just like there for me. If you want to play him in tournaments, it's fine. I do think Trey Tucker, after being one of the highest owned wide receivers last week, to now being completely unowned at 4.7K is a little bit interesting to me. And you guys are going to kill me. You're going to kill me. But Brock Bowers, the quotes around him are very, very concerning that he can't even get open or can't run. But what that's going to do is that's going to make him completely unowned in GPPs. So I guess that's interesting to me. And then this O-line for the Raiders is just, oh, God, they're going to get killed here by the Colts. Tough spot here for G&T. But 6.7K if you want to go there. They're going to feed him a ton. I don't mind it. I think there's better spots, but I don't mind it for sure. Cash games, Jacoby Myers, fine to me, and that's mainly it. All right, moving on to the Colts at going up against the Raiders. 5.8K Daniel Jones. Yeah, I like it. I like this offense in general. I like what they've done so far. So I don't mind it. I think Pittman, really good play at 5.1K, leading the team in targets, leading the team in receiving. So like me some Michael Pittman there. We do have Alec Pierce out, so Mitchell, if you played him last week, you are just in absolute incredible amounts of pain. I had a bunch of Mitchell last week. They said that they were going to potentially discipline him. Let me see if there's an update on that. I don't think so. Just keep an eye on it. If he's in, you can go there, but very, very scary. Just keep an eye on that. What else? What else? What else? Yeah, Tyler Warren, I absolutely love. Great spot for him going up against the Raiders. Mainly, I believe, play cover three. It's such a good spot here for Warren. Considering his props, I'm not sold yet, but I am considering him. What else? 57.5 receiving yards if that's up, potentially. And then Jonathan Taylor is fantastic. Matchup proof, has the best running back role, him, Christian McCaffrey, in the league right now, just playing all of the snaps. His receiving work has been, he's setting career high marks. So he is fantastic, and he is great in cash if you have the money to spend up there. And then Michael Pittman, I think, is pretty damn good in cash as well. And then Tyler Warren, my preferred tight end for cash, as it stands right now. And then I do like some Daniel Jones this week as well. And then we get Jackson Dart at 5.3K. The Giants just can't catch a break. He looked hurt last week. But if no one's going to play him going up against the Saints, sign me up at 5.3K. No one playing him. I think he's projected for like 2% ownership right now. No Malik Neighbors, which sucks, but sign me up. You can play him naked by himself. So pretty high on Dart in tournaments. As far as running back goes, Scadabo going to get a ton of ownership. I have no issue there. I think he is solid. And then if I had a preferred wide receiver, I think I'd go with Wandale here, but I don't mind Darius Slayton. And then if you want to go to like a Theo Johnson, he'll be on the field for the majority of the time, but has been lackluster thus far. Cash game plays, if you want to consider Scadabo, I think that's okay, but I think there's better plays like Brees Hall below him. I don't think I'm going to get to like a Dart this week in cash, but I do like this team in tournaments. Moving on to the Saints, no, you couldn't pay me to play Rattler. I don't think I'm going to get into like Alvin Kamara this week, but I understand if you want to do it. Kendra Miller's had a larger role. I think Kamara's going to get traded at some point. The big decision point this week is, do you play Olave in tournaments? He has been one of the heaviest targeted wide receivers in the league. I believe he's top 3, if I recall. I know he was before last week, but I'd have to look after this. Do you play him in tournaments? Obviously, he's going to be one of the most popular wide receiver plays in the slate. I think if you're playing cash, he's great. I don't think he's a must in cash, but I think he's a great cash play. Listen, they're always going to be playing from behind. I don't know what the spread is for this game. He's getting targeted a ton. It's just you have Spencer Rattler at quarterback is the only issue. So I don't think he's a must in cash. I do think he's a great cash game play. I think he'll probably go a little bit over owned in tournaments, but I'm not going to hate you if you want to play him. And then Rashid Shaheed, I kind of like quite a bit in tournaments this week. They have been talking all week trying to game plan Rashid Shaheed for this game. Trying to, good coach speak all week. I like the spot. So I think Rashid Shaheed is very interesting in tournaments. And then I think that's mainly it. If you want to go to Johnson, I think that's fine too. If you want like a cheaper tight end pivot off Warren, Trey McBride, those types. And then, yeah, cash game plays, Olave, extremely, extremely good. All right, moving on to Denver. Probably one of my least favorite games to target on the slate this week is Denver at Philadelphia. So I'll be passing on Bo Nix. I will be passing on the running backs. I will be passing on the wide receivers. I will be basically passing on everything here for Denver. And then on Philadelphia, I don't love too much either. Jalen Hurts is always in play for me. Saquon Barkley, I have a really tough spot for him at 7.5K, and he's going to garner some ownership, so I'm not too excited there. And then wide receiver, this team. If you think they're going to come out and throw the ball because of all the noise in the locker room and A.J. Brown, go for it. It's just this. My own team is just pissing me off. I don't mind Dallas Goedert at 4.1K, but there's certainly no cash game plays in that game for me. And then we have Another team that I absolutely hate here, and that is the Tennessee Titans. No to Cam Ward. Nobody wants to play Tony Pollard every single week. I know he's been bad, but he's just getting a ton of volume right now, and no one's continuing to play him. At some point, he is going to have that big game. So interesting to me. At low ownership is Tony Pollard going up against Arizona. Keep an eye. Do we have any? Was limited in practice on Friday. Keep an eye on that. If he's out, it'll be a bump to Chig, but I don't know if I'm going to go there. Not too excited about too much here. I think Tony Pollard is my favorite play, and no tournament plays or no cash game plays for me. And then we get to Arizona at Tennessee, and I like me some Kyler Murray at 5.9K. I think he's projecting as one of the better quarterback plays in the slate. I think I definitely agree with it. But Marvin Harrison is in a fantastic spot at 5.4K, so I do like me some Kyler doubles this week with like a Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. So Marvin's in a great spot, and then of course Trey McBride can be one of the higher owned tight end plays on the slate. I prefer Warren, but if you want to go to McBride, I think that's fine. Tight end, there's not too many great plays this week. And then we have the running back situation. So Benson on IR, James Conner on IR. I think there's a couple ways to play this. I don't think it's a guarantee that Michael Carter is going to come out and be the workhorse back. I think they could split. I think there's a chance DeMarcado could come out and be the get the most work. So I think there's a couple of ways you could play this. Nobody in tournaments is going to want to play DeMarcado. Everyone's going to like Michael Carter. So I think DeMarcado is a little bit interesting if you want to go there. Michael Carter is obviously fine as well. But I think that at ownership that he's projecting for right now, I think I'm going to be underweight too. Just mentioning DeMarcado as a pivot if you wanted to go there. I don't think it's a clear-cut sign right now that Carter's just going to come out and get a majority of the snaps, right? He is 4K. He's a running back that's going to project for a decent amount of work, so like I can't knock him. I'm just a little bit worried about the ownership there. Then we talked about everyone else. And then cash games, Carter's fine if you want to go there in cash. It's okay. All right, moving on to Tampa Bay. This team just can't catch a break, man. Now they're in a tough spot going up in Seattle. It's tough looks here right now for Tampa Bay. We do have Bucky Irving out. Rachaad White's going to be a good producer. He'll be involved in the passing game. They have no depth behind him. So I think Rachaad White, as of right now, I believe of the 4K running backs that we have gone over, is probably my favorite. So I do like Rachaad there, and I'm not getting to any of this passing game. This spot is just very difficult for the Bucks. Moving on to Seattle, don't mind Darnold. He is picking up a little bit of ownership, though. Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet are going to be in some type of split, so I'll be passing there. I did play Kenneth Walker unders if they're still up if you want to play him. 13.5 rushing attempts, and I believe it was 50.5 rushing yards. I believe it was. Those were unders. JSN, great if you're playing cash. Just play JSN, call it a day. Absolutely elite role there. If you want to get away from him in tournaments, just because he'll be so popular, I could see doing that. But I'll probably be playing a lot of JSN this week. Role is just way too good for the price point. He should be an 8K player. Cash games, just like I said, play JSN. All right, then we get to one of my favorite tournament teams on the slate, and I don't know what the ownership is projecting for right now. I forgot to look before making this video, and that is the Detroit Stacks going up against the Bengals. It's just, can you pray that the Bengals are going to keep this somewhat competitive to where Detroit's not sitting the fourth quarter, right? But even if they are, like, they've done enough damage to the point that they're sitting the fourth, right? If it's a massive blowout, right? So this could not be a better spot, and this could not be a better spot. A get-right spot for Jameson Williams. The coach speak, the matchup's phenomenal. The Bengals, they give up the most receiving yards. I believe to outside wide receivers. They also give up a ton of downfield throwing as well. This is like the Jameson Williams spot. I unfortunately think he's going to get steamed in GPPs. Every tout is talking about Jameson Williams this week. So that's the one issue, is I'm probably going to expect him to come in over his projected ownership, which is a little bit worrisome to me. And if that's the case, and like Amon-Ra St. Brown comes in under owned, then I'm going to be more willing to play Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I think JMO is just phenomenal this week. We'll see what that ownership comes up to. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is phenomenal this week as well. I really like Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Montgomery's in play. Laporta you can even get to. I love this whole Detroit team in GPPs this week. I think they're one of my favorite GPP teams to target on the slate. For sure, and that's Jared Goff doubles, or if you want to get to either running back, I think that's okay as well. And in cash games, Amon-Ra, definitely good, and Jameson Williams, I think you can honestly get to at 4.9K if you need the savings. All right, moving on to Cincinnati. I'm done with Jake Browning. Every single video, I've said he's a good play, which means I'm off him this week. I should never be doing this. I don't ban players. He'll probably nuke it, but always in play for large field tournaments. Jamar Chase, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. He's always going to elevate players around him, quarterbacks around him. If you go back and look at the Jake Browning sample from when he started, he was getting stuff done on this team. He's just been god awful. This year, you can only go up from here. Unfortunately, I guess that's a good thing. You can only go up from here. So if you want to go there, I think that's fine. Chase, want to play him as a one-off, I think that's okay, but I think he's better in Browning stacks. Chase Brown has just been, it's disgusting. I don't think I'm going to be getting to anyone in cash here, unfortunately. And then we get to the Commanders. Jane Daniels going to be playing. I'm assuming he's full go here. One of the best fantasy quarterbacks in the league. You don't have a ton of those on this slate, so great. Like Washington stacks. If you're worried about the injury, sure, but I'm assuming he is full go here. And I think Deebo Samuel with no Terry McLaurin is great this week. I think you can definitely get there in cash if you want to. And I also think Zach Ertz at 3.8K is one of my more favorite tight end plays on the slate, too. So there's definitely a lot to like here with Washington. Not going to get to the running backs. And then we get to another team. I've loved these Chargers every single week. I'm going to continue to love them this week. Justin Herbert doubles. That being, boom, do something like this. Quentin Johnson. I think Lab McConkey, I've said this every single week, is one of the best tournament plays on the slate. I think once again this week is another, he is another one of the best tournament plays on the slate in my opinion. So I'm probably going to get burned again playing Lab McConkey. But I'm going to keep doing it until he finally has the one to win me my money back, right? This is a great spot for him. As well. So love Lad here, and then Hampton's fantastic too. If you want to go to Gadsden, I think that's okay. Is Will Disley back? Listed as questionable. He's in. Wouldn't go to Gadsden. Alrighty, guys. So that was the 10-game main slate. Quick cash core for you guys. Why did I just type in Jalen Hurts? Let's go here. Let's go Fields. Let's go Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. What am I doing, man? I can't spell. Let's go Tyler Warren. And where do we go from here? I think there's a number of ways you can go from here. I think if you were to ask most people, they would probably fill this in with like a Chris Olave. But I'm gonna go Shane. Let's do the early cash core for you guys, something like this. Doesn't mean I'm playing these 4 guys for cash this week, but if I was building today, maybe I'd start with something like that. Alright, that's gonna do it. Hopefully you guys had a great night. I will catch you guys over on Reddit and in Discord.